of shadows.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited that you guys are here and I hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video finally reaches you. Today we are going to be diving into yet another true crime case, and this case is absolutely heartbreaking. It's one of those cases that once you learn about it, you just continue to think about it, and it's a true testament to how dangerous online dating can be. And I think that it's important to talk about cases like this in order to just really bring more awareness to the dangers of meeting people that you don't know. Like, I feel like when it comes to online dating apps, there's so much like excitement around it. You know, it could be a fun hookup where you might meet the one, but there's also a real danger to it as well. And in this particular case of Grace Millane, unfortunately, it would end in a horrific tragedy. Before we get into today's video though, I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing Patreon Zoom calls all week long on my Patreon. My Patreon is a space where you guys can get exclusive content, talk with me directly, and join me for Zoom calls and live streams. So if you guys are interested in joining in on some of our live Zoom calls, make sure you guys click the link down in my description and become a patron. I cannot wait to get to know you guys. But without further ado, let's get into this particular case. So Grace Millane was born on December 2nd, 1996 in Essex, United Kingdom. Her family consisted of her mom, Gillian, her dad, David, and her two older brothers, Michael and Declan. Grace was happy, full of life, and had a bright future ahead of her. She was described as a loving, free spirit. She was smart and had a real passion for life. Grace attended the University of Lincoln, and in September of 2018, she would complete her bachelor's degree in marketing and advertising, therefore graduating university. Now, while Grace had been in university, she'd been saving a ton of money so that she could basically take a year off after graduating and see the world. She kind of wanted to take that little bit of a break, see the world, enjoy what the world has to offer before starting her official career. And that is exactly what she did. On October 26, 2018, Grace would begin her adventures heading to Peru. And Grace really seemed to be having the time of her life. After seeing what Peru had to offer, it was time for Grace to move on to the next part of her journey. And on November 20th, 2018, Grace was headed to New Zealand. But Grace would spend the first 10 days exploring the Upper North Island, and she was doing this trip solo. On November 30th, 2018, Grace would arrive to Auckland and she would be staying in a hostel for her time there. Now, as I mentioned, Grace was actually born on December 2nd, 1996, so she was born the same year as me, and she intended to spend her birthday there, which was pretty exciting. However, she was going to be alone for her birthday, so she had to take to other means of meeting people. So on December 1st, 2018, it was the day before Grace's birthday, and she was getting ready to celebrate another year of life. But as I mentioned, she was a solo traveler, so Grace turned to Tinder in order to meet somebody or people to enjoy the night leading into her birthday with. Now, actually, one of my very good friends met her boyfriend of I think they've been together 8 years now. They have a beautiful daughter together, and she actually calls them a Tinder success story. So there is a lot of positive surrounding Tinder as well. I know people who use Tinder just to have fun, some look for relationships, and for Grace, she was looking for someone to hang out with right before her birthday. Grace would connect with and hit it off with a man named Jesse Kempson. Grace told him that it was about to be her birthday, and the two of them decided to meet up for drinks. But unfortunately, Grace would not return to her hostel that night. On December 2nd, 2018, Grace's friends and family members started to wish her a happy birthday. She was receiving messages and phone calls and social media DMs, but to everybody's shock, they weren't hearing anything back from Grace. Not only was Grace not responding to their happy birthdays, but Grace also wasn't posting on social media whatsoever. Now, this was very unlike Grace not to communicate with her family especially on her birthday. So people started to get pretty worried, but decided to give it a couple of days. Now, a few days go by and nobody has heard from Grace. So on December 5th, 2018, her parents would report her missing to the authorities. Now, Grace was very close with her family. As I mentioned, they had a really strong relationship and it wasn't like her not to answer. So her father flew out to New Zealand as quickly as he could in hopes of helping to find his daughter. Now, here's where things get very, very interesting. The police examined the CCTV footage of the night of Grace's disappearance and were able to track literally her every move up until she was last seen. I was actually quite surprised by the footage. I'll be showing you guys the footage in a couple of moments here. The footage is like crystal clear and it follows Grace from every single place that she and Jesse had went on the night of her disappearance, which is really neat that New Zealand has that. Now, as I mentioned, the footage was very clear and very consistent, and they were able to track exactly where Grace would be seen last. The footage first shows Grace leaving the hostel, and then Grace arrives outside of Sky City Casino, where she's seen hugging and meeting up with Jesse Kempson. The two went inside and had a few drinks. They would then head to a Mexican cafe and then head back out for some more drinks. The two are seen hitting it off, and as Jesse heads to the bathroom, Grace even picks up her phone to text a friend to tell them how great this date was going. The two are seen leaving together and walking into Jesse's place at City Life Hotel. Grace would never be seen leaving. So at this point, it was very clear to law enforcement where Grace had went. As you guys just saw, they were able to track and follow Grace and Jesse's every move up until they exit the elevator at his place. After that, Grace was never seen on any footage again. So it became very evident to the police and law enforcement where they needed to head, and Jesse Kempson was like their prime suspect in this disappearance. Jesse Kempson was born in 1992 and was not all that he appeared to be. Basically, Jesse was described as a complete pathological liar. Jesse was pretty much the type of person who would come up with the most outrageous, deep lies and do anything in his power to get people to believe them. He would lose friendships, jobs, and even relationships with family members due to his excessive lying. Like, he was a complete liar. His lies weren't little either. Like, they ranged from him lying about what he did for a living, to saying that his parents were dead, to saying that he had terminal cancer. Like, his lies were elaborate. He was in deep. These weren't little white lies. He would tell people that he had these elaborate jobs when in fact his last job was a phone salesman, and he actually lost that job the day that he met Grace. Like, he had just gotten fired from his job as a telephone salesman like the day that he would meet Grace. So of course, naturally, law enforcement brought Jesse in for questioning, and at first, Jesse acted like everything was normal. When they asked him how like the goodbye went, he said that he hugged her, he kissed her on the cheek, they discussed getting together the next day, that it was a really casual goodbye.
How did the evening sort of come to an end?
There was a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and a thanks, no, nice meeting you. And then I said, let me know about tomorrow. And she said, okay.
But they proceeded to explain to him they didn't even see her leave. Like, there was no footage of her leaving. Like, as I said, the CCTV footage was very clear, and it was very evident that she had never left his apartment. So they proceeded to tell him that this was a lie and that they knew it was a lie. But better yet, not only had the CCTV footage not captured Grace leaving the apartment, but in the days following her disappearance, it captured Jesse doing some very strange things. footage captures Jesse the following morning on December 2nd, heading out to buy a suitcase and cleaning supplies. After bringing them back to his place, Jesse is seen renting a car. Later on, he is seen on yet another Tinder date, but this date didn't go so well, and the girl left pretty fast after noting that Jesse had made some unsettling remarks. Jesse was later seen bringing a carpet cleaner up to his place and then again wheeling out 2 suitcases into the elevator on a cart. He would put them into the car he rented. The following day, Jesse is seen buying a shovel and later cleaning that car. Now that footage is disturbing to me, especially once you figure out what exactly Jesse had done. The footage just, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, but how obvious could you be? A girl is seen going up to your place. She's never seen leaving. You're caught bringing in cleaning supplies, suitcases, leaving with suitcases, carpet cleaners, and a shovel. You're caught buying a shovel, but yet you're trying to uphold your innocence. It's like he dug his own grave with the footage that was captured on him. During the investigation of Jesse's place, it was made clear to law enforcement that there were mass amounts of blood. At this point, Jesse realized that he wasn't going to get away with his initial tell of events, so at this point, he did what he does best and he completely changed up his story.
We actually don't know if she's been murdered or not yet. She may be alive and well,
Okay.
but she might also be dead. Okay? And it could be that you've done
Hey, I just want to ask a question. Have I been arrested for something I didn't do?
You haven't been arrested.
Oh.
Jesse's new version of events said that the two had hit it off at the bar, which we did see, and that they decided to go back to Jesse's place. Supposedly, things got really heated really quickly and the two started doing, and he said that Grace was into BDSM and she wanted things to get rough, but that it was consensual. He claimed that he participated in this domination of her intimately, and then he proceeded to take a shower afterwards, to which he said he fell asleep in the shower, and when he awoke, he was surprised to see her still there, but that she was on the floor and she had died. He claimed that it was a complete and total accident, that he didn't mean to, that he must have went a little too far with her requests. He claimed that he was completely panicked, he didn't know what to do, so he decided to leave her there as he proceeded to buy the suitcase, get the cleaning supplies, and eventually put her inside of the suitcase, put the suitcase into the rental car, clean up the mess, and buy the shovel, and then go and bury her elsewhere. But one thing that a lot of people have noticed is in the surveillance footage the following morning, he does not seem very panicked for somebody who claims that they were frantic, they didn't know what to do. In fact, he seems pretty calculated. And on top of that, it's even more disturbing that he can claim that he was frantic, he didn't know what to do, it was a total accident, he woke up, he couldn't believe what he saw, but yet he proceeded to go on another Tinder date. It just doesn't add up to me. If that were the case, shouldn't he have called law enforcement immediately and explained what happened instead of going and getting suitcases, cleaning supplies, and then proceeding to go on another Tinder date? It's just so disturbing to me. On December 8th, they would locate Grace's body, and it was determined that she had been strangled to death. Now, during the trial, there were multiple women who came forward with their experiences with Jesse through Tinder, and a lot of them had had horrible experiences. A lot of these women claimed that he did in fact like to be very rough, and one woman came forward after hearing about the case. She was never going to speak up on it prior. When she heard about the case, she came forward and said how he had assaulted her after their Tinder date and that she was absolutely traumatized by it. So it seems as though he did have a track record of assaulting women, unfortunately. Once the trial began, it would only last 3 weeks and Jesse would be found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for at least 17 years. and hopefully he will stay behind bars for as long as humanly possible. Like, this crime is just so disgusting to me, because even if it was an accident, like, for devil's advocate, let's say it was an accident, that is a human being. That is somebody's daughter. She was so loved, and you just disposed of her like she was nothing and went on Tinder dates while her lifeless body lay in your space. It's just, oh, it makes me sick, and my heart truly breaks for Grace and her family, but I am very glad that justice was served. I do have to say, this is one of the quickest cases that I've ever seen, like, as far as being solved goes, and I think that that's to do with the CCTV footage. I think that it's incredible that they had so much surveillance footage to pinpoint her exact last location, who exactly she was with, and then ultimately they were able to bring him in, figure out what truly happened, and find her body and bring closure to Grace's family at the very least. It honestly breaks my heart that this happened to Grace, especially right before her birthday. In the footage, she looks like she's having fun. She literally messaged her friend to say that she was hitting it off. She was enjoying her time with him, and it's just really unfortunate that things ended the way they did, and it's a true reminder of how careful you have to be when meeting people online, on any app, on any platform. You just have to be so careful, because you never know what could happen. As I said, one of my very good friends met the love of her life, who is now the father of her child, through Tinder, but Grace met the end of her life through Tinder. And I just want to say to any of you who are dating online, or are meeting up with people that you've never met before, or traveling abroad alone, please, please, please be so careful. You just never know what could happen. But I will say, Grace's father did say that he doesn't want Grace's story to deter people from traveling and living their dreams and seeing the world, which I think is a really sweet thing for him to say. This was a really unfortunate case, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, it hits close to home, because she would be my age and her life was just taken far too soon. But I am so glad that justice was served. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. What do you guys think of this case? Have you heard of this case? Please, please, please be so careful whenever you are meeting anybody from any sort of dating app or any social media platform that you've yet to meet prior. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel, or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my content, I would seriously love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.